Welcome to The Morning After, a special limited edition series with Candace Bushnell, creator of Sex and the City. We are going to be chatting about everything from career and adulting to relationships, friendships, and of course, love, or the inability to find it here in New York City. Plus, we have some awesome guests joining us. This series is sponsored by Magnum Ice Cream. Magnum Double Raspberry Bars are the perfect indulgent treat for chocolate and fruit lovers this Valentine's Day. When it comes to self-expression, indulgence, and chocolate, more is more with Magnum Ice Cream. Trust us, you'll love them. I hope you enjoy the episode and more to come over the next couple of months. Okay, if you're listening, this is really exciting. I have seen Candace, out and about the last couple summers. I finally asked her for her phone number, but clearly I've been a fan of yours since I first moved here. You have changed my life in more ways than you probably don't realize, because when Sex and the City hit as a show, I know obviously I want to get into it being a book, you unleashed a pride in women that was like, we don't have to hide from our extracurricular activities. We can be a strong, empowered woman. We can have a one-night stand or maybe find the love of our lives. And I feel like that was really empowering. And I named my first bag, the Morning After bag, because I was like, I'm taking the power back. This is my bag for everything. And it struck a nerve in women in a very similar way to your book and how it struck a nerve with women. So first of all, thank you for doing this fun series with me.
Oh.
And thank you for being the incredible creative talent you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's so interesting what you've said, because when I first started writing Sex and the City, and I'd been writing for 15 years before that, writing about women in New York, and I've been writing about them in women's magazines.
Yeah.
But at that time, in the early-ish 90s, it's like something happened, and it felt like there were all of these 30-something single women in New York who were really cool and had their own, had careers, I guess, as opposed to jobs.
Yeah.
And were interesting. And there was just this time of feeling kind of like, we own this town.
Yes.
In a way. And that there was this camaraderie between women, like we will have each other's backs.
Yeah.
And that feeling was real in New York. And I feel like that's kind of one of the classic features of New York City, is that this is one of the few places in the world where women can come and you can make it. You can buy your own apartment. You don't need a man. You can have a fashion company. You can be this, the editor-in-chief of a magazine. And there are other women there who also do interesting things. So it was, really about that real feeling of empowerment.
So when you wrote the book, and I'm sure, clearly it was a hit, did you ever imagine it would become what it has done today with the TV show, the movies, the movement around it?
No. Well, first of all, it started as a column in the New York Observer.
Okay.
So, and it was pretty much what I had been writing really in the 80s about women, different realities of relationships, and how money, power, and status really come into the mix of relationships, love, and sex and marriage in a city like New York.
Yep.
And so really, when I started writing it in the New York Observer, it just kind of had a different frame around it. And now men were reading it. So it really started to take off. And people were faxing it to their friends in Los Angeles. And I started getting calls. But I remember when I got the column, I knew that was really somehow my big break in New York City. And I remember getting the column and then rushing up Park Avenue on this beautiful day, and all the doormen were saying like, "Hello, good day to you." And I was like, "Good day to me too. And I'm going to live there someday." That kind of, I didn't think about TV then. I mean, nobody thought about TV.
Right.
This was like 1994.
Yeah.
People hardly even had TV. Nobody sat at home and watched TV.
I did, but yes.
So it was a vibrant city where everybody was going out.
Yeah.
Every single night.
Those seem like the glory days, man.
And, it was fun. So, no, I didn't imagine it, but I was just trying to do, like, really the best work that I could do. I knew it was, like, my big break.
Yeah. And so when the TV show then hit, what did that feel like for you?
It didn't really feel like anything.
Okay.
I mean, it was, first of all,
because you didn't know what it was going to become, or
I wasn't paying that much attention to it.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it was great. It was happening. I worked in the writer's room on the first 2 seasons.
Yep.
But I wasn't like watching the numbers of like how many people were watching it or whatever. And, at the same time, I was having what I thought was a very interesting life. I was traveling a lot. I'd published my first book, which was amazing. I was writing another book. I wrote part of it in Paris. Darren Star and I, we would have like so much fun. We would going to St. Bart's I wasn't like paying that much attention. And then I wrote my second book, Four Blondes, and that became a big New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. And
that was really that amazing feeling of like, oh, wow, I've really accomplished something.
Yep.
Getting on the New York Times bestseller list, and the book sold a lot of copies, and that was super exciting.
Yeah. I think for an author, that's pinnacle. I'm on the USA Today bestseller list. I'm working on the Times for this book that's out today, but the feeling that you're describing is very real. Like
Yes.
that you've impacted that many people who still bothered to read means something.
Well, books were, big then in 2000. I mean, they were still big, and being on the New York Times bestseller list was a big deal.
It's huge. It still is huge.
I got $1 million contract, which was huge. I was like, I'm not a starving writer anymore.
Yeah.
So that was really what was amazing.
Totally.
And, it was around that time that I think people were like, wow, Sex and the City is getting really big. And I was like, oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
But
it's really interesting to me that you can look at it, and as you're comparing the two, that you can be, oh, that's great. When to the outsider, like you're like, holy shit, this thing is blowing up. I remember trying to get my bags onto the show, and if, Kim Cattrall actually wore one in the movie, and it was like the biggest deal that had ever happened. So it's interesting to hear from your perspective, because sometimes I do things and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And my mom will be like, that's amazing. And I'm like, it's fine. So I fully relate to like certain things just aren't on your like, oh shit moment.
Well, I'm a best-selling novelist.
Yeah.
And actually, this is the reason why I do my one-woman show, True Tales of Sex, Success, and Sex in the City, because it's really the origin story of Sex in the City. And it answers like all of these questions. It's my life story mixed with the origin story of Sex in the City. And if you come to the show, you really understand like the intersection and how much of it is my life, which it continued to be like beyond the book, because Darren Star and I were really good friends.
Yeah.
So there still ended up being, storylines that, as Darren said, oh, it's an homage.
Right.
But, and so that was fun. It's always, it's a fun, great part of my life. Writing novels is a very different kind of thing.
I get it.
So, and there's a lot of pressure on that. You've got to perform, you've got to deliver, you've got to do the publicity.
Oh yeah, I feel it. Feel it hard.
It's a lot.
So your one-woman show, you mentioned it's the confluence of real life, Sex in the City. Let's get into love. I'd love to hear from you as a young woman gallivanting all around the city. And again, this pinnacle time of the 90s. Just share with me, like, did you have a Mr. Big? Did you have an Aiden? Like, what were your experiences? Good, bad, ugly, funny? I can go too.
Well, the real story of the real Mr. Big is part of my stage show.
Okay.
Which I'm actually doing at the Sony Theater on May 16th.
Buy tickets, everybody.
People have to come because you'll get the answer to all these questions. There was a real Mr. Big, and I was like madly in love with him. It's like I don't know how many, of these loves one might have in one's life, but it seems like there are a few that they feel big.
Yeah.
And they feel like
cinematic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then for some reason you're just crazy about that person.
Yeah. I found that pre-getting married, the people that I felt that crazy about were always sort of withdrawing from me, which makes you like reach more. And they know that they have that power, so they wield it. At least that was my experience. Like the guy that I thought I was going to marry would just always be a little distant and a little unavailable. And it fucks with you.
Yes.
In ways you can't imagine.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's true.
If it's easy, right? And they're, like I think I had to get it in my head, like it's okay to deserve a good guy who loves you back, right? Who's not going to play those games. And I don't know. I don't know if we're like, we thrive on this, like they're just above me. They're just better than me. Not thrive on it, but it makes it interesting.
Right. That I know what you're talking about. That feeling of I need to be like smarter or prettier, or I make an effort with this person to be maybe just a little bit better than what I think I am. And, that's something that I always explain to people and that's something that women do. In a sense, we aspire to be the guy we want to be with.
Interesting.
Like I always wanted to be the cool person who was like walking in the room and everybody was coming up and saying like, oh, you'll get the best table.
Yeah.
And have that Black American Express card. I'm sure a lot of women don't relate to this, but to me, it's like being that thing that you want in a guy, being that yourself, like being your own. That's what I call being your own Mr. Big.
Yeah.
It's like what attracts us about men, like a man who's in charge, right? That seems attractive.
Yep.
I mean, it just does.
It is attractive.
Yes. See, I just realized, like, for me, I wanted to be the one.
Right.
Who's in charge.
So
I don't really want to be there like, oh, you're in charge. Then you got to act a certain way, and I'm like,
oh, no. Where that goes out the window is in the delivery room,
I'm sure.
Like, no, you're definitely in charge in the delivery room. And if you have to pretend to be anything other than like a primitive ape, then it's hard to pretend to be perfect in that space. So were you disappointed when you figured out, I want to be this, so then what do I look for then?
No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I was married and I met my husband. It was like a fluke kind of thing. And it seemed easy and not insecure. Like I didn't have that feeling of like, oh, is he going to call?
Right.
It's like somehow you knew it was okay.
Yeah.
And I think, that's sort of the key. And I've heard other people say this too, that they just what made them want to marry that person who they married was that they didn't feel insecure.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of insecure women chasing those people we're talking about, and it's like you're on the treadmill of that, and it doesn't go away. And then you have kids, and then it is worse. Theoretically. So what would you tell like a young woman in Manhattan? What would be your dating advice? Because it's a problem. There are a lot of incredible women in the audience today. And it's hard out there. People are sick of dating apps. Friends only know so many people.
Listen, this is all I ever kind of think about, because it interests me. Like there's something very wrong with the whole picture. Like why? And it's the essential question of Sex and the City that is really what begins the whole series, is why are there so many great women in Manhattan?
Yep.
And no great, so many great single women in Manhattan and no great unmarried men. I mean, that's the question. Like, where are these guys to marry all these great women, because these women want to have that kind of partnership?
Yeah. Where are they?
And it's like we are not making good enough men.
Yeah.
Somehow. We are falling down.
This is a call to arms.
Like, everybody feels like women are so great. I mean, Manhattan is full of just, really attractive, really smart, like ambitious, but nice, super pretty, like your best friend, there if you need them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like discipline, works out, gets up every day, like works really hard. Like, where's the male version of that?
Do you think he's slightly older? Do you think this comes to men later?
No, I do not know. It does not.
So then where are they? We're just not making them? So there's literally like a shortage?
This is the essential question, right? I mean,
you're supposed to have the answer, Candace.
I don't have the answer. I don't. I do know certain things, but dating is it's in a large part still kind of run by men.
Right.
So it's still kind of the men that do the picking.
Right.
And
even with like a Bumble, for instance, you think that has that had any impact, you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, because I'm not.
You're not
25 and I'm not on all these dating apps.
Are you on any apps?
Here. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I was going to look up that app, The League.
Oh.
Because the other day somebody said to me, like, oh, I could just go on The League and find a husband and be married in 1 year.
Stop it.
I was like, whoa, I want to go in this app. But, I don't want to be married in a year. I don't want to be married.
Yeah. So you're going to get on The League. And why did
I probably won't get on The League because I didn't go to an Ivy League school.
Oh, is that why it's called The League?
Yes.
Oh. I thought it was like a league of women or a league of men, not Ivy League.
No, it should be a league of women.
Right?
Definitely.
Oh, okay. Well, they need to get their branding sorted out. Okay, so you're going to not go on The League, but you're on a dating app. Have you had a successful date, or has it gone past date 3?
No.
Okay.
No, but that hasn't happened, in general. I mean, that hasn't really happened for years.
So what are men doing to disappoint you?
When
do you
not
get the
disappointing me. It's not that interesting to me.
Okay.
Like, it's not personally that interesting to me.
Yep.
I mean, I do think it's like fun, it's great to be around men and talk to men, and, they're interesting and all of that. But
yep. So then tell me, how have you shaped your life? Because I know a lot of people think that then is the anchor. So what does your life look like so full that's like, okay, that'd be nice, but it's like not needed?
I'm just really interested in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
At the moment. Like, I guess for a really, really long time, just like writing and writing novels was, basically all I really wanted to do. I mean, I wanted to do other stuff too, of course, like maybe ride horses. But, it's been a pretty single-minded pursuit.
Yep.
And, it's the pursuit of excellence. It's like, it's okay to really love what you do.
Yeah.
And it's always challenging, and sometimes it's depressing because you're like, I'm over. No.
What makes you think, what happens in your life that you think it's up, you're over?
There's just a lot of rejection.
Still.
Yeah, well, I think for everybody.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. Like you try things and you don't sell everything. Not everything gets bought. I mean, there are a lot of things that they do work, but there's also a lot of other stuff that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think every creative person would tell you the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that it just misfires for whatever reason.
Yep.
Sex and the City is something that it worked.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. And, that's just a fantastic thing.
Yeah. I remember after the Morning After bag, after our Morning After clutch, I was like trying to chase the hit. I was like, what was it about that bag and the shape and the leather and the this and the that? And I was driving myself crazy. I was like, I can't be a one-hit wonder. And so I feel you. Not everything works.
But you have this big, fabulous company.
Yeah, because we kept trying, and then another thing hits and you grab onto that. But I think it's just constantly, I call it like Madonna, like you're constantly needing to reinvent to stay fresh and relevant and innovative. Maybe not as much plastic surgery as she's had, but like with her musical style and her fashion style,
And I think that's what, we're all doing as women who have businesses.
Yeah.
It just takes a certain, it's like a certain drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
To keep going. And I think that we should probably feel in a way like blessed that we have that drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, it keeps you going.
Totally. Do you think there should be a version of whatever Sex and the City would be for like Gen Z? Do you think that there should be that on our screens? A reflection of what it is like today?
I think that there already is.
What?
Well, there's something called Tell Me Lies. Somebody's always, making something that's about their life and their time.
Yeah.
It might not be as successful as Sex and the City, but I think that there are, people out there doing their version of their time.
Yep.
And their age. But you know what? Maybe there isn't. Because, now I'm thinking about this young woman I know. She's in her 20s.
Okay.
And she is a publicist in the political world.
Okay.
Which is just very interesting. And she's always like wanting to date and get married. And it's like, it's just impossible.
Not with her job. Not with those hours.
No. I mean, it's like, and then she was like, there are protesters outside my office today. They're protesting Elon Musk. They want accountability. And that's me. I'm like, this girl is adorable.
Oh my gosh.
She should be the new Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe that can happen for her in the political world. That should be the Sex and the City is.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh. That'd be a fascinating story. So would you, we don't have much advice for our younger listeners here.
Well,
what about my
Okay,
age?
wait.
Yes.
This is my advice.
Yes.
There's a guy named Benny
Okay.
on TikTok.
Okay.
Benny Hart, do you know him?
I follow.
They know Benny Hart.
Okay.
Go to Benny Hart. I'm telling you. I'm like, I can't help watching it. I'm like, geez, he's right. This is like embarrassing. He's like, Don't make a fool out of yourself. Don't be like a chicky dicky. I don't even know what it is, but he's hilarious, and he lives in New York.
Is he single?
I don't know, but he's pretty cute.
Okay.
I'm like, somebody should go after Benny Hart. I don't know what the story is, but I would watch Benny Hart.
Okay.
On
For some good
TikTok.
advice.
Yes.
Okay.
And
You heard it here first.
and he has a live show, and I think it's probably good to get advice from a guy, right?
Maybe, but I don't feel like I mean, part of it is that they don't think about it as deeply, I think, as we do. And they don't have expiration dates like we do. Like if you want to have kids. So sometimes I worry about the advice that a guy might give.
Well, I don't know. I think everybody feels like they have an expiration date.
Yeah. I can
And
see
it's
that.
like, I remember when I was 21, like these 21-year-old models being like, it's over for me. I'm old. It's
Right.
like, you're 21.
Well, back then as a model, sadly, it was over for them. I mean, now it's so much
They were
better.
kind of right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course now it's ridiculous. And that's one of the things that has changed, I think, a lot in the last 50 years is, you're not done.
Right.
Like, and we have so many more role models, and we keep pushing for more role models of people who are, vibrant and young and, still very engaged, who are in their, 60s, 70s, 50s. It used to be over if you were a woman and you were 50.
Yep.
Now, that's not true.
Correct.
I mean, we can think of 100 women who are amazing and
Yep.
and it keeps going. So
Yeah, it's true. I love it. So Colby has a great question, and that's, you set up 4 archetypes with your characters. Those seem to be reflected in pop culture, in current TV, whether it's a group of 4 women in a TV show or a movie. Like, did you do that on purpose? And what did each one sort of mean to you?
okay, well, I actually did not do that. When I was writing Sex in the City, I interviewed lots of different types of women.
Okay.
Because we all know there are more than 4 types of women
Yes.
in the world.
Yes.
But 4, 3, 6 is just a TV or movie device, because that's how many stories you can tell, how many characters people want to pay attention to.
Gotcha.
And those 4 archetypes, first of all, at one time, they were all blonde, right? I mean, that's just standard TV and movie stuff. I mean, if you look at every TV show, Friends, 6 characters, they all have to go to the coffee shop. They always have one place that they're going to go.
Yep.
So that's really purely standard TV structure.
Yep.
And then they took the book and put it into that standard TV structure.
Yep.
So what were lots of different types of women in New York really became 4 types of women. The funny one, the maybe more serious, uptight one, the sexy, the one that always wanted to have sex, and the one that believes in romance and marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredibly clever because we all feel like we have a little bit
Of
of
ourselves.
those characters of those characteristics in us.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what people do in books too.
It's the formula.
It's a formula.
Yeah.
It's something that people have been doing forever. So, of course, we see it in other TV shows.
Yep.
Because it's a formula.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in other TV shows, it's going to be in movies, and it's a sort of shorthand,
Right.
in a way.
Right.
Because, how much time do you have to get to know these characters when you first see them on the screen?
Right.
You need to know something right away.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so I know that's kind of disappointing because everybody's like, it has a bigger meaning. It doesn't, actually.
Okay, spoiler alert.
But that's okay.
Good for TV.
Why don't you ask me?
Taylor would like to know, do you have any funny memories or early just great memories of you and the cast when it first started?
Yes, actually, I do. And there was a time at the very beginning when Darren Star rented a house in Tuscany. And so a couple of us went, and that was really, really fun. When the show first came out, HBO decided to do a party in the Hamptons. So I think they'd done one in New York, but they were going to do one in the Hamptons because, it was all very new.
Yeah.
And so we had a really fun party. And then before that, we were hanging out at Darren Star's, and we were wearing bikinis.
That's
which is
pretty hot.
Something it's like, wow. But it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was like 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
So-
now with Morpheus, I guess anything can be reversed.
I don't know. I need it, whatever it is.
I'm trying to find it, believe me. Before I let you go, you're performing at the Sony Theater when?
Friday, May 16th.
And what can people look forward to? Like, what is this one? I mean, give us like a brief.
Well,
cliff notes.
it's the origin story of Sex and the City.
Okay.
How I wrote Sex and the City. The real story of Mr. Big. The stories about my Samantha, Miranda,
Okay.
and Charlotte. And we also play a little game, Real or Not Real. So this is where people can see what parts of the show really happened in my life, but on the TV show, they're always better or worse.
Oh, is there any
So-
scenario you want to give me now that you can tease?
Well, there's, that the senator. Remember when she dates the senator? Mm-hmm. So the question is, did I date a senator?
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Ooh.
But it's not nearly as good looking as Carrie's senator, of course. And when people find out who it is, it's a pretty big laugh, I have to say.
Oh,
Because
my
it's
gosh.
not anybody you would expect.
Okay. Well, maybe he had a great personality. Or not.
Actually, he did.
Okay. Well,
He
at
did.
least he had that.
He was really fun, and he drank Cosmos.
Oh, so win-win. Is that your favorite drink?
I still drink them.
Wow. And you don't get a sugar headache.
No, I do.
Okay.
I do.
But you're committed.
I'm like, go home and pass out.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing this fun mini, I don't even know what to call it, mini episodic series. And we're going to have some fun with our upcoming guests.
Yes, I can't wait.
Hosting a Galentine's Day party, Magnum Mini ice cream bars are perfect for your Galentine's Day girls' night. With 6 bars per box and only 160 calories or less per bar, Magnum Minis have a taste of unapologetic indulgence for everyone. From classics like Mini Double Caramel to our latest flavor, Mini White Chocolate and Cookies, Magnum Minis are made with real premium chocolate and layers of rich sauces and swirls. From their mini snack size to their high-quality ingredients, it only takes one luxurious bite to fall in love with Magnum Mini ice cream bars. Even when it's mini, it's more. More is more with Magnum ice cream.